afternoon, distinguished guests, esteemed professors, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the historic city of Samarkand, and especially in our Silk Road International University of Tourism and Cultural Heritage. To open our workshop, it is my distinct honor to invite the first Vice Rector of our university, Professor Nasimov Dilmurad Abdullayevich, to deliver his welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me say greetings from our rector. He was going and supposed to visit and attend this meeting, the beginning of this meeting. But he was really urgent meeting, and he was had to go. He said he's sorry, and I just want to deliver his greetings. First of all, welcome to our university. Welcome to Samarkand. It's a great honor for us also to welcome you here after your visit and after your very successful forum and seminar in Tashkent. So I hope that the continuance of this meeting will be very fruitful also. Let me just briefly tell you about our university. So the main task of our university is in tourism and cultural heritage. So we are trying to combine the most important parts as a hospitality university. And it was only organized in 2018, not long ago, but you can see that we are doing very good. And we are trying to be one of the best universities within our country in Central Asia. And the meeting that is holding in cooperation with our institute under our university shows that we are doing very good, the full effort for development of the international cooperation also. And we welcome you all, the distinguished guests from leading universities of the world in the sphere of cultural heritage. And I hope that our future meetings and our future collaboration will be also fruitful, and we will receive many projects, not only symposiums, but also with research, with future grants, with also cooperation in all other spheres of education and research. Thank you very much, and welcome again to our university.
Excuse me, but you now and you will be in the end first?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Continue.
Thank you very much, dear guests, esteemed scholars. Now we will move to the lecture parts of our meeting. With a great honor, let me invite to the floor Professor Najaf Haider to perform their lecture. Yeah, Professor.
In fact, I learned only 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
There was no time for PPT. But I am so happy. First of all, I am so happy to be here. And Mr. Rector, Madam Yusupova, Mr. Alisher, you have been very helpful. Thank you. I'm happy also because India has been brought into this, and the scope of our discussion has widened to include India. And one reason perhaps for that was that there have been important historical moments when Central Asian culture touched India. And I'm not talking about the 13th, 14th century Central Asian influence on India, because there was a discussion earlier on that. I would only say a few words about Samarkand. As an Indian, how do I look at Samarkand? As a historian also, how do I look at Samarkand? Even though I'm not a specialist of Central Asian history, or the history of the city. A remarkably historical city, a great city. So there are two things I remember about Samarkand without having to do research. As an undergraduate student, as a teacher. One was Timur's invasion of Delhi. It was a major event in the history of the country, not only in the history of Delhi. The history of northern India had been shaped by invasions, because the invaders came, settled, left their culture, and that culture expanded and cross-fertilized with local culture, producing all kinds of new cultures. Timur's entry into India was also a historic moment of that kind. When he went back, he brought with himself some choicest writers, scribes, artisans and craftsmen who came to Samarkand, and they were given the opportunity to show their skills. And they and their apprentices and the patronage with Timur and the Timurist rulers gave to them is responsible for the emergence of a new kind of technique of writing, craftsmanship, design, choice and mixing of colors, which can be found now neither in Samarkand nor in India. It's a product of that kind of assimilation. And as time passes, it's very difficult for any of us to disentangle these assimilations. They acquire an identity of their own. They can't be seen as mixtures. They are seen as one. And therefore, this is the first time I have visited. I have nourished the desire to come to this place, and I'm grateful to Raza for this opportunity. And so my memory of Samarkand is mixed. On the one hand, it's memory of a tempestuous historical event. On the other, it's also a history of cultural assimilation, which I think is what we are trying to celebrate. Thank you.
Now let me invite Professor Daniel Sheffield for the speech, the Professor of Near Eastern Studies Department at Princeton University.
Thank you so much. Vice Rector Nasimov, Professor Yusupova, dear members of the Institute, dear friends, colleagues, it's my job first to thank you so much for the warm welcome that you and that everyone here has extended to us, the participants of the From Sacred Khan to Sufi Sultan conference. My name is Daniel Sheffield. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Near Eastern Studies at Princeton University, where I'm also the director of the Shamin and Bijan Mosavat Rahmani Center for Iran and Persian Gulf Studies. Like many of us, it's long been a dream to visit the city of Samarkand, to visit Uzbekistan, ancient Sogdiana. Though I'm a professor of Iranian studies, in many ways it is this land, this geography, which really sits at the heart of the Persian language, Persian literature, and indeed at the heart of the story of Iran. In our most ancient texts composed in Iranian languages, the Avesta, the lands around us, these lands, at that time, the homeland of the Avestan-speaking peoples are mentioned in the young Avestan texts in the later chapters of the Zoroastrian Videvdad, and indeed much of this sort of geography of Sogdiana is mentioned even before the geography of Persia in Iranian languages. It's here in this land of the Sogdians that the story of Rostam is first attested. And even before the story of Rostam is written down in Shahnameh, we have the story of Rostam in the Sogdian language, as has come out during the last century of discoveries in the Eastern Iranian languages of this region. Indeed, even paintings of the story of Rostam are found very close to here, right, in Panjikant, just on the other side of the Tajik border. It's also here in the environs of Samarkand that the earliest glimmers of Persian poetry first emerge. Anyone who has studied the Persian language knows that Rudaki, the blind poet of the Samanids, is remembered as being the father of Persian verse, and of course the village of Rudak is located very, very close to here in Samarkand. Any student of Persian, in their first or second year in studying the language will have learned that famous verse of Hafez. Agar an Turk Shirazi be dast arad dil ma ra, be khol hindush bakhsham Samarkand o Bukhara ra. Yeah, here as I'm sitting in this beautiful city of Samarkand, looking at all the blue tiles and the amazing architectural remains of the Timurid era, I think to myself, would I really give Samarkand up for that, Shirazi Turks Hindu mole? I don't know. I might keep Samarkand and say, I think I might prefer just to stay here in the city and let the beautiful Shirazi Turk have her way with someone else. It's here, of course, that the canon of Persian poetry was first codified by Dolat Shah Samarkandi, who wrote Tazkirat al-Shu'ara, that extremely important history of Persian poets that basically continues to set the standard for how the story of classical Persian literature is written. And of course, from its development under sort of the Samanids, the Karakhanids, to its brilliant rise as the capital of Timur and successors, and through all of the centuries that followed, Samarkand has been a place where scholars could meet. It's a center of learning and cultural synthesis, which I hope we hear from our various national and academic backgrounds. We have scholars from Australia, from China, from the United States, from Europe here, that we can continue this tradition of building bridges and building syntheses and collaborations. So on behalf of all of us, let this occasion mark beginning of a new period of cooperation, of collaboration. I am excited to learn about the possibilities for collaboration here at Silk Road University, and look forward to welcoming you someday, I hope, to my institutional home at Princeton University at some point in the future. Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you very much, Professor Daniel. It was very promising speech, and thank you. Let me introduce you Professor Said Riza, also the Professor of the Near Eastern Studies Department at Princeton University.
Thank you very much. Vice Rector Nasimov and of course Professor Mavluda Yusupova. First of all, I really would like to thank you for hosting us here in Samarkand. And secondly, I want to thank you again for basically facilitating the tour and also the work we are going to do in the next 2 days. And of course, it's a great honor to be here in Samarkand, coming from America, basically a long way, but also coming from a very short way from back. So basically you brought me home in a way. And when, basically Professor Sheffield already talked about it, and of course my own professor and teacher, Najaf Haidar, already talked about it. And when we were in Delhi, I was his student. One of the things basically was always discussed, and we thought about it, how Central Asia or how basically this region is represented in India, how they would understand Central Asia through the Indian aspect, and also how basically India understood from the eyes of the people who live here. But I guess when we are in Samarkand, and also Professor Sheffield just mentioned it, two things come to my mind which are making it very special. So one is that the people here, they have this idea of that they are sitting in the center of the world, and that is not far away, because tomorrow or day after we are going to Afrasiab, and then we'll see the paintings of Afrasiab, basically commissioned by Barhumana, the king of Samarkand, and in basically it's 648 of CE, which is 2 years before the fall of the Sassanids. So it's quite interesting, because that is the only painting we have that the world comes together in front of the king of Samarkand, which is Barhumana. And that is the second that I know, so far after Persepolis, or Takht Jamshid in Iran, that everybody goes to the Shah or the King of Kings. So the king of Samarkand basically claimed the kind of universality by bringing people not really physically here, but by painting. So basically you have the monarch from Korea, you have the Tang emperor, basically, and then you have the emperors of many places, and also you have the representative of the Sasanian king, Yazdigerd. So it's all, and then also the representative of Turantash, the king of basically Chahan or Chahan Khuda is there. So it's quite, like you see, we are in the center, and then the second time, if I remember and come back a little bit, like say, a little forward in time, is that Amir Timur, who actually conquered, from say Anatolia, Aksaray in Turkey today, all the way to Delhi, and then one side of it basically Damascus or Halab, all the way, to say the land basically in Uttar. And then his last achievement wanted to go to do, and that was basically the conquest of China, which didn't happen. And then, so you can see, after the conquest, he brought all people from everywhere, as Najaf just said it, from India, to one place to make it again center of the world. So that is, so if we take these two examples, so you have Barkhumana bringing the world in painting, and you have Timur bringing the world physically here in Samarkand to basically build the center of the world. And Samarkand actually had the darwazas, the villages outside, and then the village called Misr, a village called Isfahan, a village called basically Shiraz, and a village called Damishq. So basically brought people there. And then one of the people, I guess, who sometimes I blame him a lot for misunderstanding the Timurid, is Ibn Arab Shah, who actually was brought from Samarkand, and he grew up in Samarkand, and he spoke languages. He learned Turkic, he learned Persian also. He was forced basically with his father, he was a Qazi's son. And he was in Samarkand, and then he went back to Syria, and then he wrote his book, basically Ajaib al-Maqdur fi Akhbar or fi Ajaib al-Timur. So this is the first book translated in Latin in Leiden, in the Netherlands, basically by professor of say, Oriental Studies, Jacob Julius, and then that is the base of information of the Europeans basically comes from Amir Timur and the Timurid, period in Europe. So you, in a way, if I take these two examples, it brought us back to this region as the center. So when we talk about Central Asia as a periphery, it's not a periphery, it's basically a center for itself. So this is one I thought that I should say, and then as a student of early Islamic studies, because I did my PhD in early Islamic studies, the Arab conquest of Central Asia, I was always wondering that what caused this place so important. And later I realized in the very rhetorical, basically say, phrases said in Damascus, mostly or Damascus, that this place is Bustan al-Khalifa, so the garden of the Caliph. And then we know from the Sogdians, basically, you had the Iraq Sogdi, or the Sogdians, characters who were giving advice to the Caliph in Syria how to deal with the empire. So you basically, the Sogdians are here in a way. And then if you go to Baltistan and Gilgit on the way, so you get thousands of Sogdian manuscripts on the mountains. Many of them are not published, many of them are not yet translated, but you can clearly see that the Sogdians were not only in Luyang, not in Chang'an, but also in near Delhi all the way, because you have lots of inscriptions, you get it. So basically, in a way, we are back into this, say, centrality of we have. And then, if I just am allowed to say two words of what I always love the most, is a poem that read in Baghdad, but it is about Samarkand. And that is basically Abu Abbas Fath ibn Khaqan, because his father is a Khaqan. But then he says, basically when he talks to the Barmak or Balkh, when they miss this area, then Abu Abbas says that Samarkand can man, or Samarkand can man, Badinat Kiaf can, as charged Tabbihi Hamishat Khihi. So this basically very early New Persian, say poetry. We have one of the very earliest one, and it means basically Samarkand, oh Samarkand, what happened to you? Who did this to you? You were always better and happier than Charch, which is Tashkent. But I wish that you always remain happy and with prosperity. So this is basically the word of early, basically late 8th century, and talks about, and then again, this area of Sogdiana, Samarkand becomes very important, because you got the Ikhshidis, and then Muhammad bin Ikhshid, they're ruling over Egypt, Misr. And so you, in a way, it is quite important that we are all in Samarkand And if I just end this, basically I see that when Amir Khosrow in Delhi, when they asked him, or if this story is authentic or not, I mean, pardon me for that, but then there's a story basically written in the palace of Shah Jahan in Delhi on marble. It says, Agar Firdaus bar ruyi zamin ast, hamin astu, hamin astu, hamin ast. If the paradise is on earth, this is it, it is it, it is it. But the people of Samarkand found a way to encounter that. They say, Samarkand sayqali ruyi zamin ast. So, Professor Sayqali. Samarkand sayqali ruyi zamin ast. Bukhara quvvati iman din ast. So basically, Samarkand is the place of on earth that you want to see. So I'm quite happy that we finally came together. I'm really thankful to you and to your university, and I hope really that we can continue this kind of conversation, and then of course in a cooperation. And in a way, your Silk Road University brought the old archaic thinking, the image, or say the vision, the mission also, was there already, into a really new way, very modern way, if I can say. So congratulations to you for having such a great institution, and thank you for hosting us here. And I really look forward to the future that we can all cooperate with each other. Thank you.
Thank you for your visit.
Thank you very much, Professor Riza. Thank you very much, all the professors, to come and to join our university today to this event. It was indeed very informative and very good research and very good event. So, as for the schedule, now we will have a small tour around our university. So about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then we will be going to the Super International Research Institute. We will get introduced about the institute, and then of course we will go to the sites sitting around Samarkand. This is our schedule for the second part of the day today. Thank you. Now please follow up our volunteers there. We will introduce you our university. Then we will go to the thank you.
Okay, thank you for.
Thank you.